Hey everybody, welcome back. Today's going to be another non-book video. We're going to be diving back into the Mandalorian helmet project that I've been working on. This is number 5. So what we did last time was we did a lot of sanding, some kind of grinding down of loose particulate and material that was up inside the main helmet itself. I don't know if you recall, but we took basically a kind of like an end mill bit and chewed away at it. So what we're going to do today is some pretty kind of simple filling. We're going to be mainly using some kind of spot putty from Bondo. Not sponsored, just what I want to use. We're going to fill in those major gaps. I'm going to fill in a little bit here on the rangefinder, and that's just to kind of get rid of that gap and just smooth it in. Then what I'll do is I'm going to let it harden overnight, and tomorrow I'll sand it down. If everything looks good, they'll probably go ahead and use some filler primer just to give it kind of just a nice another coat to make sure that A, it's primed for painting, and then B, any remaining little gaps and lines from the filament printing that I don't like will hopefully be masked and kind of hidden away. If anything kind of looks built up from that procedure, we'll go ahead, give it a light sand. Maybe I'll end up doing another primer fill coat. We'll see. But by the end of this video, basically I'm going to bring it to the point where I'm ready to start doing some painting. So it's getting exciting. We're almost there at the end. So let's check out. I'll do, just some filling now, probably speed it up so you don't have to watch the whole thing. And then you can kind of see the process that I go through. All right, so let's check it out. All right, so as I said, we're going to use just some Bondo spot putty. This is easy. You don't need to do a two-part cure or anything. You just apply it right onto some kind of work surface. I'm just using some scrap cardboard, and then we'll get our tools of the trade. I'm using some plastic spoons, knives, popsicle sticks, just stuff I have laying around the house. And to begin, I just want to get a little bit in there. I don't want to do a ton because anything I put on here, I'm then just going to have to sand down. And my fear with doing that is that I might just be sanding down plastic that I would like to keep there. So the whole goal here is just to fill in that gap, just get some material down inside there. I'll scrape off anything that I don't need. Now with this application, I'm being pretty fancy with it because I want this to look as good as possible. It's going to be very exposed. With the next part, you're going to see I don't care. We're going to just be filling in mass material. So yeah, this is, we really didn't need a ton for here. It wasn't a huge gap, just a tiny little gap in there. The rest of it came out pretty good. Sure, I can see a little line in here, but that's going to be taken up with the filler spray paint. And then, I'm going to end up having probably 2 coats of paint on here. So anything like that, I'm not really worried about. But this actually looks pretty good. I like this. I think that came out good. Let's not fuss with it anymore. I think the gap is filled up the way we want it to. The rest will sand off pretty nicely. So let's kind of, maybe I'll give that a little bit of a scrape with a clean surface. That looks pretty good in my opinion. So we'll let that harden up. It's kind of late now. I'm filming this on a Saturday night. Hopefully sanding more tomorrow. It's supposed to be a rainy day, so it'll be a good day to stay in. Yeah, let's call this one done. Now what I'll do is I'm going to fill in those gaps that I want to address on the helmet itself. Let me speed that up so you don't have to sit there and watch me do the same process too much over and over again. So yeah, let's switch gears and we'll go work on that. So as you saw, that wasn't too bad. We kind of did some, you know, more careful work going around the outer edge, mainly because I just didn't want to put any extra material on than I really wanted to, because pretty much anything that's on there that I don't want, I'm just going to have to sand off. As you can see, I got a little extra matter right there I'll take off while we're talking. In the beginning, I did some tiny little gaps that I noticed before when I was going along. You know, maybe they would have come out with the spray filler, but I didn't really want to get to that point and then not be confident in it. So I figured I'd just put a little extra in now. You know, if I'm going to be filling and sanding anyways, it doesn't really take too much extra time to add that in. You know, basically on the bottom, my main goal was just to create one continuous surface. You know, it was the base for the printing, and some of the lines were a little heavier showing. Some of the outer edge had started to peel away. Part of me, I might have messed that up when I was sanding. Some of it might just not have been as connected as we would want in the initial process with the first layer, which happens with 3D printing. You know, it's just going to happen regardless of how good you are at printing and what printer you have. Sometimes your base just gets a little messed up. So this should create a more uniform surface. I probably went a little heavier on it than I really needed to, but I figured this way, now I can sand it, make it look just the way I want it. It'll be kind of nice. As you saw towards the end, what I did down at the bottom, as you recall, it was just sort of all stringy and everything when it originally printed. My whole goal with this was just fill in volume. I went in and chewed it up before with the end mill bit on my Dremel. And then all I did here was I just basically squeezed it literally right onto the surface, used the end of the spoon, and I sort of just smoothed it out as much as possible. My only real goal with here was just to create a nice smooth surface so that when I use the foam inserts, they got the sticky side. I wanted just a nice consistent surface to squish those onto and know that they're going to stay. So what I'm going to do here is once that dries, I'm going to go in, you know, with a piece of sandpaper and sort of just smooth it out. I'm not looking for anything aesthetic. I'm just looking for a nice smooth surface. If it has a little wave to it, I don't really care. As long as I get enough of a smooth surface that the sticky side will stick to and stay on, then I'm going to be happy. So what I'll do in the next step, I'll go through, I'm going to let this kind of harden overnight. I'll sand it tomorrow, and you know, we'll pick up from there. So let's set this down for the night. We'll let everything dry and cure properly, and let's check it out in the morning. All right, thanks. So it's the next day. We let everything harden overnight. Let's take a look at how everything looks. So as you can see, the rangefinder looks like it filled in pretty nicely. Looks nice and flat. I'm barely gonna have to sand that, so that's easy. The main work on the helmet, as you can see, looks like the gap filled in just nicely. We'll get rid of some of this extraneous stuff that got you know, built up there. And you know, you can barely see any of the lines coming through. Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything there is just from the plastic knife that I was using. So I think we're gonna lightly hit this with some sanding block. We'll make it nice and smooth, and then you know, we can move on to the filling after that. So let's do you know, a quick little video of me going through the sanding process, and then after that we can jump into doing some spray filler. So you know, just to kind of do an introduction now, what I'm going to end up doing after that step is I'm going to use this Rust-Oleum filler primer that they have. So it'll give me, you know, a pretty nice match on the primer that was already used by April and her team, and it'll also help build up a little bit of any kind of imperfections that remain after this step right here. So yeah, let's get to work and see how it comes out. All right, so let's get started. I don't know if you've seen my video of me prepping the dragon that I have hanging in the tree, but I suck at spray painting. So this is kind of a nervous step for me. I'm used to doing mainly house painting and miniatures, all of which I use brushes. So to begin, I'm going to use this filler primer from Rust-Oleum, not sponsored, just it's what I've read. Looks like it's going to work well. I don't know if you noticed, but I had it sitting in the sun in a thing of hot water to try to loosen everything up and get better dispersion. And I'm going to do the accessory pieces first so that if I screw it up, I won't feel so dumb. And then we'll do the inside of the bucket as a test. And then when I'm feeling brave, I'll do the outside. So let's get started. We're just going to do some light coats. We're looking to, remember, just mainly fill in gaps and kind of get a nice smooth texture. I don't want to go too heavy. I'm just looking to make it look nice. So that actually worked kind of well. The force of the spray paint coming out and the wind was able to kind of spin it around just perfectly. Let's come around to the back side. Of course, the wind's going to now push the spray paint towards my camera lens. I'm sure my phone's going to love that. Jeez, the wind is shifting again. We live in kind of a hilly neighborhood where the wind changes pretty quickly. I don't know, that's looking pretty good. I don't really want to go too heavy because I don't want to make any drips or little drool marks. Now, of course, I can go in and I can do some sanding work afterwards. Remember, this is just to do a little bit of filling and get it ready for painting. So, I don't know, it's looking better. I think what I'm going to do is I don't want to get too carried away and ruin it for myself. Let's maybe hit the back side of the earpiece some more. Of course, the wind's going to now shift. All right, I think I'm kind of happy with those. Let's pull this rack down. And let's now get brave with the helmet itself. I think I'm gonna do the inside first. Let's get this up and out of the way. Now, I'm not overly concerned, as we talked in the past, about the aesthetic qualities of the inside. I mainly just want to have a nice finish and not let it get dried out. So let's I'm gonna speed up things so you don't have to watch it, you know, second by second, and let's see how it comes out. Alright, so I think I'm going to stop now because this is where I start to get a little nervous. I can see it's kind of looking wet there. I might have got a little bit in there where it starts to really kind of build up. But I accomplished what I wanted to now, and that's getting a good coat inside. It looks like it's definitely more filled in. Remember, this is supposed to be like a thicker primer. I think this was a good first attempt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just spray paint off camera. You guys don't need to watch me be a terrible painter for another 20 minutes or whatever. And then I'll do a couple coats of this, and then we'll inspect it for sanding before painting. All right, thanks. So overall, that went really well. As you can see, we did the filler primer on all the parts. So we have the earpiece, the rangefinder, the stock, and the helmet. Overall, I'm very, very happy with how it came out. As I mentioned before, I'm not the greatest spray painter, so it was a little nerve-wracking finally committing to doing it. But, you know, got up inside, it made a nice coating there for where the bottom was all stringy. And there was really only a couple spots where I went a little heavier than I wanted. Like there's a little bit of extra thickness here, so I'm probably going to take the really, really fine grit sanding block that I have. I'll lightly hit that. It's hard to tell in the video probably, but there was a little bit of extra that built up right here, and then it dried and cracked. You can see it left a line. I'm not super worried about sanding and then doing a second coat, because the main reason I was doing this was the filling aspect. The helmet had already been primed, all the pieces had been primed, except for the rangefinder, I believe, before it came to me. And the filling was basically just to kind of eat up some space in the little gaps there. The paint that I want to use has a built-in primer with it, so even if I was worried about the paint sticking, this should stick a little bit better. So what we're going to do is a satin black. Should have kind of a nice like matte finish to it. You know, just a softer, you know, because I didn't want to gloss. I didn't want it to look completely shiny, but I didn't want it to be super flat. So I think the satin's going to be nice. So I'm just going to do some really, really light touch-up painting, or sanding, I mean, and then we'll do the painting in the next step. So yeah, I'm gonna, we'll close out this step in the video. I'll do some sanding in between, and in the next video, what you'll see is this helmet and the accessory pieces basically becoming black. And what I'm gonna do is paint everything black, and then I'm gonna do some touch-up coloring on the rangefinder. I'm gonna add in some extra little details, put a little red in there, and then what I'm mainly gonna be doing is then turning the whole T-visor area red. And then I'll probably go around the backside and maybe fill some in here. I'm gonna try to just do some light accent work. Overall, I want the helmet to still be black, but what I want to do is the eventual goal for the outfit is going to be a black suit of armor with red accents and, you know, some other fun colors, maybe some silvers or golds or something to mix in. I want it to be subtle because I want it to be kind of a stealthy set of armor, but still look attractive and fun. So yeah, thanks again for coming along with me on this step. I know this video was a little longer than my normal ones. But yeah, stay tuned and we'll be painting in no time. All right, so I'm going to be signing off, and thanks again. Have a good night.